order goals, working memory, and attention allocation. Basically, a customer's scarcity mindset makes...
Alright, I'm not gonna lie, I don't think Starbucks thought of all this. I mean, maybe they did, maybe they're geniuses, but I don't think they said, you know this part of the brain right here? It's scarce, you know. Scarce equals more people want it. That means there's more people that are demand. So, boom, more sales. Pfft, simple as that. Yo guys, what is up with this video? We're reacting to Food Theory, how pumpkin spice killed coffee, alright? Before I start this video, okay, I need to get a few things off my chest, and it's not titties, alright? Let me tell you. One, you got new glasses, you guys see that? Oh my god, I'm so blind. Second, YouTube, I'm trying to monetize myself for like 20 years, okay? I don't know why, but it's linked to some old account like 4 years ago, and I can't get monetized. But, that's not the case. The case is Food Theory right now, right? Let's get into the video, alright? 3, 2, 1, let's get it.
Hear ye, hear ye! Pumpkin spice season has officially commenced. The line forms here.
Wow, it's October, and pumpkin spice season is only starting now? Gotta admit, I'm kind of pleasantly surprised here. Figured Starbucks would have started back in August or something.
Yeah,
you know this is the line for next year's pumpkin spice latte, right?
Bro, this year's pumpkin spice season already ended.
It did?
Yeah, like 2 years ago. Honestly, try to keep up, dude.
I bet people actually like that. This world's full of great people, I'm not gonna lie. Food.
Hello Internet, welcome to Food Theory, the culinary show that's not just good for your stomach, it's good for your gourd. There's nothing quite like autumn, is there? The leaves change, the weather gets cooler, and Americans line up to purchase, or to hate on, Starbucks' most
England,
popular seasonal drink of all time, the Pumpkin Spice Latte. Now, if you've never experienced a pumpkin spice season stateside, what I need you to understand is that today's episode isn't just about some excessively sugary autumn-themed drink. We're beyond that now. The Pumpkin Spice Latte has become a force in and of itself. Since 2003, Starbucks has sold 424 million of the lattes in the US alone. Not too bad for a drink that's only available for a couple months out of the year. But the sales alone aren't what make the pumpkin spice latte trend so remarkable. It's the cultural impact of it all. Because it's not just Starbucks who's doing pumpkin spice anymore. It is everyone. When Starbucks first launched this drink, they didn't realize it, but they created a food revolution. Now, every fall, Americans are inundated with pumpkin spice coffee creamers, and candles, and donuts, and cream cheese, and waffle mixes, and toothpastes, and Four Locos. Alright, so that last one actually turned out to be a joke, but you know what? It's not a very good joke, because if I saw a pumpkin spice Four Loco on the shelf, I wouldn't even bat an eye. See, pumpkin spice is more than a meme. It's no fad either, not anymore. Pumpkin spice is old enough to drive people. Over its 17-year reign, pumpkin spice has seen the rise and fall of T-bowing, fidget spinners, Tide Pods, and the word YOLO. Every single one of those fads had a meteoric rise in popularity, at which point the haters swooped in and swiftly reminded us exactly how uncool each of these things actually were. And pumpkin spice knows all about this because never in the history of hating has the internet tried to kill something so hard. To pumpkin spice haters, the PSL, as it's referred to in so many hashtags, represents everything that's wrong with the holiday season in America. Not only was there no actual pumpkin in the thing until 2015, but there's a sense that ordering a pumpkin spice latte is to openly embrace consumerism and hop aboard whatever's generally trendy at the moment, aka ya basic. And yet, despite their best efforts, the haters have definitely lost this battle. Fidget spinners couldn't handle the hate and promptly spun off into obscurity. YOLO did indeed only live once, and not for very long. But as for the pumpkin spice latte, its popularity, especially in the US, has done nothing but climb steadily throughout it all, year after year after year. Apparently, these so-called basic pumpkin spice lovers don't really care what the haters have to say. They like what they like, and they are not ashamed to admit it.
I haven't had a Starbucks one in so long, literally since like last fall. It's so good.
It's funny because it's a white girl.
It's amazing. I'm addicted.
Another
When
white girl.
it's cold outside, it gives you a sense of warmth. It's almost Thanksgiving. It's Christmas time. It feels good.
This is the perfect just coffee where you just go.
Yeah, exactly.
And Hocus Pocus is on the Disney Channel.
It would seem then that the pumpkin
Is there
spice
any other
latte
race
just
that likes
makes
this drink?
people feel good. It evokes the nostalgia of coziness and holidays with family. And hey, the Grande has 380 calories, so it doesn't necessarily take a psychologist to understand the appeal. At the end of the day, this thing is just a drink that tastes like candy. On the other hand, maybe the psychologists can be of use here. I mean, there are a lot of delicious, staggeringly unhealthy drinks out there, and none of them have managed to weave themselves into the fabric of pop culture quite like the pumpkin spice latte Latte has. So what we're gonna look at today is how Starbucks did it. How did they develop a product so comforting, so nostalgia-inducing that it became completely and utterly hater-proof? Turns out there's a lot of science going on under the hood. The PSL's runaway success can be attributed to the fact that Starbucks has figured out how to hack pretty much every major region of our brains with just one little product. It all begins with the concept of scarcity, where people place higher value on things that aren't in abundance. For instance, Mr. Beast's fans can buy merch anytime they want to, but the moment that he announces that he's gonna personally sign every hoodie or shirt ordered within a 24-hour window, his fans turn out in droves and purchase over 68,000 of them. And that exact same concept applies to seasonal drinks like the Pumpkin Spice Latte. It too is a special product that's available for only a specific window of time, usually late August to December. So when the PSL ads start coming out, customers know that if they want something with pumpkin spice in it, they have to get it now, otherwise they're gonna have to wait until next year. And this is the first way that the Pumpkin Spice Latte hacks your brain. See, a scarcity mindset increases activity in the customer's orbitofrontal cortex region of the brain, which is involved in attributing value to things. A scarcity mindset also decreases activity in the customer's dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, which is involved in higher order goals, working memory, and attention allocation. Basically, a customer's scarcity mindset makes...
Alright, I'm not gonna lie, I don't think Starbucks thought of all this. I mean, maybe they did. Maybe they're geniuses. But I don't think they said, you know this part of the brain right here? It's scarce, you know. Scarce equals more people want it. That means there's more people that are demand. So, boom, more sales. Pfft, simple as that. You know?
Them inflate their perceived value of an item, while their ability to see the bigger picture gets simultaneously depleted. In other words, they're more susceptible to marketing. Now, is Starbucks doing this intentionally? 100% yes, they are. Remember, the original PSL syrup had no real pumpkin in it. It's not like we're dealing with a product that relies on seasonal produce here, friends. The supposed scarcity of the Pumpkin Spice Latte is completely artificial as the latte's pumpkin flavoring was for the first decade of its existence. Ba-doom-ching! Nailed you, Pumpkin Spice Latte syrup.
That bottle of pumpkin-flavored science goo sits behind the counter of Starbucks all year round, never aging like Ryan Seacrest.
The increased perceived value of a seasonal drink like the Pumpkin Spice Latte makes it a status symbol of sorts, an item worthy of being shared, talked about, and hashtagged online. And when people see their peers participating in an event or trend without them, that's when FOMO, the fear of missing out, starts to creep in. And what we call FOMO today is essentially the same survival instinct that's always made our species afraid to be left out of the herd. According to clinical psychologist Anita Sands, quote, getting the impression that one is not part of the in-group is enough for many individuals' amygdalas to engage the stress or activation response, the fight or flight response, end quote. Naturally, one way to rid yourself of that stress is to join the herd. And today, enough Americans have joined the herd that seasonal drinks like the Pumpkin Spice Latte and Peppermint Mocha are household terms. But there's obviously something else about the Pumpkin Spice Latte that the other seasonal drinks don't have. Otherwise, John Oliver would be ranting about chestnut praline season or frappuccino season, or, like I just said, the Peppermint Mocha season. What is the secret ingredient inside of that Pumpkin Spice Latte? Well, a key difference is the season itself. Autumn, and all the nostalgia that comes with it. Nostalgia activates a number of areas in the brain, including a slew of reward centers like the hippocampus, the substantia nigra, the ventral tegmental area, and the ventral striatum. For Americans, autumn is an especially social time of the year.
That obviously
always reminds me of trick-or-treating, returning to school, the fall theater production, tailgating during football season, being a singing football vendor, selling popcorn in the stands. I was shameless. But of course, one of the biggest events of the fall, Thanksgiving dinner with the family. Autumn has no shortage of great moments to wax nostalgic about, which means autumn has no shortage of ways to activate the reward centers in your brain. Now, of course, a lot of this could apply to the December holidays just as easily. Christmas is an extremely nostalgic time of the year for many of us, so why isn't the Peppermint Mocha or the Eggnog Latte sitting atop the pedestal as Starbucks' best-selling seasonal latte of all time? Well, one big reason is that Starbucks' slate of December holiday drinks effectively cannibalized each other in popularity. In 2003, if you wanted a seasonal autumn drink from Starbucks, Pumpkin Spice Latte, only way to go. If you wanted a seasonal drink around Christmas time, though, you had multiple hit drinks to choose from. Because the Pumpkin Spice Latte essentially had the entire market to itself, it was able to spread its wings and really make a cultural impact, just in time for the rise of social media and FOMO, as fate would have it. Another reason, though, could be the execution. Starbucks put a whole lot of research and development into making sure the Pumpkin Spice Latte recipe hit our taste buds and brains just the the
just
right
for
way.
drinkers.
In the spring of
Coffee
2003,
drinkers, you know?
Starbucks' Liquid Lab was
And
tasked
Sugar
with
Rush
capturing the essence of fall in a drink. After taking a slew of autumnal concepts out
Just
to
get some
customers, they
leaves.
found that the chocolate and caramel flavors rated highest, whereas pumpkin flavor was in the middle of the pack. Nevertheless, Liquid Lab's director of espresso, which has just got to be like one of the best job titles of all time,
Director of
Peter
espresso,
Dukes,
right?
went ahead and made pumpkin one of the 4 flavors
"Yes,
that
I am
moved
the
on to the
director of
prototype
espresso."
phase, since, quote, there wasn't anything around
Espresso.
pumpkin at the time. And so Starbucks' pumpkin latte prototype went head-to-head against a chocolate caramel drink, an orange and spice latte, and a cinnamon streusel latte, which would go on to become the cinnamon dolce latte a few years later. But what pumpkin had going for it was American tradition. Pumpkin is a New World gourd that's been a part of the American table since day one. So knowing this, Liquid Labs zeroed in on a blend of spices utilized in a traditional pumpkin spice cake recipe, which appeared in a 1936 cookbook, using nutmeg,
1936.
allspice, cinnamon cloves, and
Nutmeg,
ginger.
you mean like
And this
when you put the
particular
ball between
spice
the guys'
blend, which had
legs?
been in the American tradition for generations, would prove to be a nostalgia-inducing gold mine. You see, scent is the strongest sense linked to memory. The olfactory bulb is the first place that smell information is processed in the brain, and from there, it sends the info along for further processing to other regions of the brain,
Never
which
knew
happen
that.
to be
So
the
whenever
old
I'm
friends
revised for
that
a
we met
test, I'm gonna get
earlier
if it
this
smells
episode.
in my
Information
nose.
is sent for further processing in the amygdala, which associates smells with emotion. Info is also passed along to the hippocampus, which contributes to the formation of
Hippocampus, I
episodic
don't know why,
memories,
it just
memories that
sounds
occur in a
nice.
particular place and
Wanna
time.
touch
Info
it.
also gets passed along to the orbitofrontal cortex, which associates odor and taste. If you've ever taken a bite out of an old family recipe and thought back to the summer that you spent with your grandparents, that's exactly what's going on here. So, as you can imagine, a
course,
drink
I
that
felt
is
this about
so
times.
much about aromatic
Lying.
spice smells is primed to light up all those parts of the brain and
I ain't tried this
activate
though,
a
like, I
wave
need
of
to just
positive
have a special
emotion
time
and
to eat something
nostalgic
and eat again
memories.
the next
And
time.
Starbucks knows
remember
it. As
everything.
the story goes, the Liquid Lab team brought in their own homemade pumpkin pies from family recipes. They then alternated between bites of pie and sips of latte back and forth until they slowly honed in on the perfect flavor profile for
feel
the
this is
drink
just
that
a
they hoped would
excuse to just eat
encapsulate
some shit.
autumn. Which is
Let me
funny
taste
since
this
the
pie.
PSL is about
Let me
as
get another bite.
unnatural of a drink as you can get. Today, only about 5 to 10% of the spices in a pumpkin spice latte are real. The rest are
Wow.
flavor compounds that mimic the spices that you'd typically find in the American cupboard. In all, there are about
Jesus.
340 flavor compounds in the pumpkin spice latte. Even Starbucks' inclusion of real pumpkin should be taken with a grain of salt. According to food organization IFT, quote, the amount of pumpkin puree added does very little other than appease those who wanted to see real pumpkin on the list of ingredients. But
So, you
here's
know,
the
just
real
put it on,
twist,
bro.
friends.
Just put it
Not
on, you know.
only does the PSL activate
have
our
some
FOMO,
actual pumpkin
decrease
ingredient.
our ability to think rationally, increase its own perceived value, and then hit us with scents that heavily activate positive seasonal memories,
that's a gold
targeting
mine right
nearly
there.
every major part of the brain. It also does one last thing that I think is just hilarious. It
that?
doesn't taste like coffee. As the story goes, when the flavor testers finally settled on a proper pumpkin spice formula, some of the higher ups at the company were worried that it covered up
Does
the
it taste like
taste
coffee? I'm
of
so
the beans.
I
As
actually
Tim
try this
Hearn,
now, 'cause I-
founder and
I'm not a big
former
fan of coffee,
executive at
so
Starbucks,
I bet
admits,
it's
quote,
nice.
a number of us thought it was a
Coffee,
beverage
it
so
doesn't taste nice.
dominated by a
Why? I don't
flavor
know.
other than coffee that it didn't put Starbucks' coffee in the best light. And that to me is the best twist of all, because the pumpkin spice latte formulation eliminates the one last thing that holds back most other Starbucks drinks, and that is the coffee itself. I don't know if you've ever had a conversation with someone about this, but I know multiple people who don't
course.
like Starbucks
Of course.
coffee because they say it's too strong or too burnt tasting. And while that's my anecdotal evidence, they're not alone in that assessment.
If I asked all of you what you want in a coffee, every one of you would say, I want a dark, rich, hearty roast. What percentage of you actually like a dark, rich, hearty roast? Somewhere between 25 and 27%. Most of you like milky wheat coffee. But you will never ever say to someone who asks you what you want that I want a milky wheat coffee.
You see, coffee is a weird drink because it's bitter, and bitterness is something that we humans have been evolutionarily primed against since the caveman
why I don't like
days,
it.
because it
And I
served
even
as
put,
a
like, a
defensive mechanism
bunch of milk in
preventing
there.
us from eating poisonous food. And yet, as the theory goes, coffee gets around that aversion because of conditioning. Our brains are getting rewarded by the hit of caffeine when we take a sip of
get
coffee, so
energy.
we condition ourselves to be okay with this taste that we would otherwise be actively trying to avoid. But what if you had all the positive effects of caffeine and
And a
none
nice
of the
taste.
bitterness? Well, that, my friends, is a drink that'll sell millions. And that is the pumpkin spice latte, which means in a delightfully
You guys don't like
ironic
coffee.
twist, the most popular
I mean,
coffee drinks at Starbucks would be the ones that taste the least like coffee. coffee. And I think Starbucks has figured it out at this point. For an example, let's go international. In Japan, they've released Christmas strawberry cake milk, which incorporates the flavors of one of Japan's favorite Christmas desserts. The Japanese love their whipped cream and strawberry-topped sponge cake so much that they even have an emoji for it. And Starbucks went all in on matching the flavor to the point that it includes no coffee, just white mocha syrup. In China, Starbucks is wisely hopping on the cheese trend.
Make good coffee, just exclude the coffee. We don't need
right, I said cheese trend. Cheese isn't a traditional part of the Chinese diet, but cheesy drinks have become all the rage in the region in recent years. Starbucks is doing its part to fan the flames with their snowy cheese latte, which sounds super weird, but then again, so is putting a bland orange gourd into coffee. But regardless of which of these take off or not, I think what we've all learned today is that the most important ingredients aren't necessarily the ones hitting our taste buds, it's the ones hitting our brains. But hey, that's just a theory. A food theory. Bon appetit. Hey,
guys, okay, I'm really baffled, okay? Because I honestly, do people actually like? You say you drink coffee, do you actually not like it? I thought you'd just be like, oh, you know, it tastes kind of nice, you know, and a little kick. I thought people would just be like, okay, you know, I didn't know people actually didn't like it. People just do it with the energy. I know you get energy from the freaking coffee. I didn't know you people didn't like it though. Well, that's a theory because you know you might like it. I don't know. But if you guys enjoyed the video, hit the like button, subscribe my channel, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace and fuck you, YouTube. Why are you not monetizing me? I'm joking, love you. That was the gayest thing I've done in my life.